Want to make a podcast? Spotify's got a platform that lets you make one super easily, then distribute it everywhere, and even earn money. We like that. All in one place for totally free. It's called Spotify for Podcasters, and here's how it works. Spotify for Podcasters lets you record and edit podcasts right from your cellular telephone or your computer, so no matter what your setup is like, you can start creating today. Then you can distribute your podcast to Spotify and everywhere else, those other places that podcasts are heard.
Video podcasts are also available on Spotify, and when you want to take conversations with your fans to the next level, Q&As and polls are the best way to get them talking. With Spotify for Podcasters, you can earn money in a variety of ways, including ads and podcast subscriptions. And best of all, it's totally free, zero catch. We've been using it ever since we started How Long Gone. And ever since I discovered Spotify for Podcasters, I feel like having the option of turning off the Q&As and the polls on the user dashboard has really helped boost my creativity and take it to another level. I highly recommend giving it a try. Download the Spotify for Podcasters app or go to www.spotify.com/podcasters to get started.
Wow, thank you for joining us on your own podcast today, Jason.
It is my pleasure. It feels good to be back. You know, I haven't been, I've been disconnected for the last couple of days.
There's no worse fate than being disconnected for a couple days. That's scary to even hear.
It's a hard thing to do nowadays, actually.
But you weren't that disconnected, bitch.
I mean, I wasn't that disconnected, but I was trying to be disconnected as possible. But you know, it is it's like a mental challenge to really, like, it's one thing to go on holiday or on vacation, but it's another thing to really, you know, holistically do it. You know what I mean? In terms of your mental and your physical.
Yes, but I would be afraid the money was calling and I wasn't picking up the phone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you know, that is a good concern, but there's a skill in setting up a situation to where you were able to really unwind and vacate while still not fumbling any bag. You know, even the greats like Bill Gates and Jeff Bezos are able to do it, Chris.
Yeah, I know they are, Jason.
Easy. I mean, but are they? You know what I mean?
Wow, really makes you think. Did you get deeper? Did you crack open that third eye in Sedona like we talked about?
Of course I did, bro. What else is there to do in the Dome other than go to Whole Foods and see people not wearing masks, and go to anywhere and see people not wearing masks? That's it.
I mean, so tell me about hitting Sedona and seeing mask-free youth in the Whole Foods.
Mask-free youth. Well, it was weird because we walked in and there's a group of people, like maybe 3 or 4 real crusty people, like outdoorsy types, but they also all look like they had plastic surgery done. So it was kind of like, that's kind of the vibe in Sedona.
Sounds pretty cool overall.
Sounds pretty cool. On paper, it does sound very cool, but they were all kind of like, it was like 3 or 4 of them in an aisle, and they were all kind of blocking the aisle and talking to each other and having just like a fun, normal convo. But none of them were wearing a mask, and I was looking around to see if there was an employee working there that I could be like, hey guys, like, what's up with this? Why are these people?
Wow.
Like,
so Jason, you are a Karen.
I wasn't trying to bust them.
Sounds like you were, Jason.
I wasn't trying to bust down, but I was simply trying to
understand.
See like what was, like, you know, I was in the car for like 6 or 7 hours driving. You know, the Whole Foods was the first destination that we went to, so you know, I was still getting my sea legs back. Working out the creaks in the body.
Sure.
And then I was floored with this, and I didn't know how to process. Don't worry, I didn't rat anyone out. I did not tell. But I was looking at them, and they were looking at me, and I was looking at them, they were looking at me. And it was kind of like they were looking at me in like a little bit of a smug way, as if they're like, I wish somebody would tell me. I wish you would come tell me to take this, put this mask on. And then we were looking around, and I would say like 50% of the people there were mask free. And it was all, there was no rhyme or reason. It was all walks of life. Cool looking people, shitty looking people, rich, poor, fat, skinny, Republican, hippie. You know, it ran the gamut. Everyone and nobody was wearing a mask.
Sounds like the varied group of our listenership, actually. So that's nice to know. But
it was a diverse cast of men and women age 18 to 24. That is our exact demographic, I promise.
So it was Coastal Elite snob Jason Stewart, Big TJ versus Super Spreader Sedona.
Yeah, and I asked the
local cashier.
I asked the local cashier, like, what's up? Why are all of these people not wearing a mask? And they said in Sedona, or maybe in Arizona, similar to when you bring an emotional support animal on an airplane, you are allowed to just say, I have a medical condition and I can't wear a mask, and that's all you need. Much like getting your medical marijuana card by going into any office and saying, I have pain. Or whatever, going to Florida to get Oxycontin, anyone can just walk around and say, oh, I can't wear a mask for personal reasons, and then nobody can do anything about it.
You don't have to hide. So you just don't you don't have to justify your reasoning. They can't ask you, or they can ask you, but you don't have to answer, and there's nothing they can do.
Yeah, you don't have to show any like medical official documents or proof that you have a medical condition that is allowing you to not be able to wear a mask. You can, the same way you can say I have pain, or I have insomnia or stress or whatever, I get headaches. It's improvable information.
Wow.
Unprovable.
So overall, after you coughed on those people, how was the trip?
After I did some coughing, we we checked into the Airbnb. It was very nice. Your money goes a long way in Arizona compared to California.
It looked very spacious.
It was spacious AF. There were multiple rooms to live in. I was thinking about like some type of Tim Dillon situation where you just get a house in the desert for a month and you just build out your little content studio. I could really see myself doing that in the Dome, but I don't know.
I'm ready to build a content studio with you anytime, bro. Like I would love.
That's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to me.
I would love to create a content studio with my co-host and friend, Them Jeans. It would be very cool. And I
me
feel
and
like
Bay went half on a green screen. That's real love.
If we could we could get some CDJs in there. You know what I mean? I'm sure we could dip into your storage space, get the CDJs, get the green screen, get a little hot.
If I pull the CDJs out, Chris, you know that I can't put them back in. You know that, right?
Dude, you look. You cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube.
You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. And once I start downloading these Rihanna MP3s, I can't just put them back onto Spotify. You know that, Chris.
I know, but I think that during this content creation moment we're in, where just the content is being produced at a breakneck pace.
It is.
This might be we might need an hour-long TJ green screen Rihanna only set from Sedona.
And it
honestly, I think this is the best time.
On site. It has to be, literally in the other room. We can't be like, oh, like I can get this studio space, I can get an hour booked out later this week or whatever. Like it has to be able to happen at the drop of a hat, any moment. There could be some late breaking news. A senator or a judge could pass away. There could be a new hamburger. There could be lots of different things going on in the world that we can't wait on.
Think about if we had a Sedona content studio, how we could have pulled up all these awful, obnoxious, lame tweets about Ruth Bader Ginsburg and roasted people live on Instagram.
Really roast them while the body is still warm. Really give them a ravishing,
Exactly. If I would have seen the Ruth Conda tweet and had a content studio, I would be famous right now. Maybe, you know, I might be rich.
You would be famous, and I don't know if it would be famous in a good way, but you could definitely be famous if you had that.
The trend of like saying something you want to say, but you're lying about it because you act like your child said it is very cool. Like that's the only good reason to have a child. Like
no, that is the end of fucking humanity, is what it is.
Like I showed a picture of Ruth Bader Ginsburg to my 2-year-old, and she started crying, like shit like that. It's so amazing. It's so.
They should take a page out of, you know, like Twitter had no problem in the past just saying literally the phrase, starting anything funny that you're about to say that you have written and scripted before by just saying the words, somebody said.
Yeah,
that's all you have to do. You can go,
exactly.
Somebody said Chris Brown looks like blah blah blah. Somebody said, you know, and that is a setup that everyone is happy with. Nobody has to lie and say that your 3-year-old said this like really interesting hashtag, and then you put a hashtag on a word that your kid said and tweet it out for nothing but some likes is really, really awful, if you ask me.
You know, I never feel like logging off. I'm never really feeling.
And that Child Protection Services should take that fucking kid away.
Exactly.
Nothing good is going to happen with your life if your parent is just using you for likies.
It's honestly the way that Twitter reacted to 100-year-old woman's death that they knew was coming was honestly shocking. And I understand the political implications of it, and I understand that we have like romanticized this woman and made her like an Etsy like being.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But like, man, it was like there was an article in The Cut about how women were texting each other just the word fuck, and it was like a trend piece. Like that's not real, guys. Like we can't. That doesn't matter. That's not the important. Like that is not important. Like the whole the Supreme Court seat and all the stuff that goes with it is what is important. It's not important. Like what it's unbelievable to me. Like you're really gonna people crying over a death of someone they don't know is actually shocking to me.
In the Supreme Court. I mean, obviously, she has done a lot of cool things over the years. You know,
no, amazing. She's
overturned some great stuff, but
literally,
the world was Ruth pilled.
Yes, that we were by that documentary. I mean, this woman has literally I would not want to take away from her accomplishments. She truly has changed women's rights. Like she's on the front lines, but it's like
she slapped.
But you people turned her into a fucking Etsy t-shirt and like a bad book and a catchphrase. And now you're going to crying when someone you don't know dies is insane, and I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with it. Like you people are crying about a celebrity or a politician they've never met. That is fucking insane. That is insane. It is. And I might not cry if a family member died. You know what I mean? Like this is crazy.
We know. But I guess, whenever somebody in that position passes away, they're kind of like those are those benchmark moments of like, she was one of the last few good ones who is in a position of power, but also,
totally.
Like she hasn't really had any power in a while. Like the way the world works, the way the government works, everything that's been put in place in the last, 10 years, it's just, in my opinion, it's already been done. It's a wrap. The world's fucked.
It's just symbolic. I mean, I don't know. I obviously people are going to react to the way they want to react to things, but I just the insanity in which people respond to things like death of people they don't know seems truly, truly unhinged to me. Like unhinged. Like it could be someone that truly touched my life, but I don't know them, so I can only feel so much about their passing. I don't have, maybe I'm emotionally dead, but it seems like it is an extreme overreaction to something that doesn't actually affect you in any way at all.
Yeah. And then you have to draw the line of what things, what things in the world that are happening are, that you're able to turn into your own personal content, where that line is drawn. And I don't know how many years ago was it where people really started making a big deal about posting these like melodramatic things about celebrities dying whom they have never met, simply because like they were in a freaking movie that I liked a lot. And like,
yeah, it's
today, my heart hangs heavy today because this.
Today at How Long Gone headquarters, we're raising the flags to half-mast over the passing of character actor from a 1998 movie that made me chuckle once. It's fucking crazy. Like, and this goes for any and all levels of like success. It's like, it doesn't matter what the field is, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if it's politics, if it's music, if it's movies. Like, obviously to me, a musician would probably affect me the most, but when, like, you know, Morrissey, of course, has a tarnished reputation now, but when Morrissey dies, this guy, I've listened to his music since I was 13 years old. I have it tattooed. I'm not going to care. It's fine. He died. That's the cycle of life. Like, people die. That's just what happens. I'm not going to cry about this guy who I've never met before, no matter how much he affected me positively in my life.
Right. And I think, you know, the dealing with death, dealing with life, those things are, in my opinion, you know, those are some personal and private moments. And, you know, as soon as you commoditize them online by trying to, you know, make up words that your child said, you know, make up a hashtag that your child said, or, you know, hire a graphic designer to make a post of you and, you know, posing next to this person that died and writing like a 10-page article about how they touched your life. Like, it's all awful. And I think the way that we all deal with death and the way we look at death as an opportunity to, you know, an opportunistic moment in your life versus like a time to just like pay your respects to them, you know, karmically and universally is fucked up. Like, whenever you see, you know, a celebrity's name, you know, RIP whatever on Twitter as a trending thing, everyone's first, you know, you're like, okay, is this person dead or do they get canceled? And then everyone has the same Denzel memes about, like, you know, somebody better not tell me that this actor that was on fucking Frasier 18 years ago.
That show. I really love that show, Suits, bro. I can't believe this guy died.
Do not tell me, you know, my face when I found out that the guy from Bones season 3 isn't dead. And then you're like, yes, that was awesome. I'm so glad they didn't die. You know, but I also think that I personally, and also all humans, have always had like a fascination with disaster and tragedy. Like, whenever you know, like there was an earthquake in LA a couple days ago, or, you know, there's a volcano or whatever, all this, you know, these natural disasters that happen, or these tragedies that happen, 9/11, we'll always have like a fascination with them because it's interesting to see, you know, crazy destruction or pain or like real emotions, because we aren't really experiencing real emotions anymore, and we have to kind of fabricate them into around celebrity versus
I love
real people that we love.
I love posting an RIP or maybe even a great New York Times obituary because they're so well written. Maybe even a photo on a Tumblr. You know what I mean? I'm not above that. I'm definitely not above that. But crying is where I draw the fucking line. Okay, like, celebrating someone's life because you love their work is the proper way, in my opinion, to process that kind of emotion when it's someone you have no personal connection to.
Yeah, you know, sit around with your friends who also shared your love with this person. You know, commiserate and commemorate about the good times and the moments that you had, but do not make it about yourself, and do not make it a reason or an excuse or an opportunity to have this draft. You know, I bet you there's people who drafted that, you know, Ruth Conda type of tweets, and they just had it waiting in the hopper, waiting for her to die so they can fire it off.
Well, I mean, that's literally how the obituary in the New York Times work. You know, they have them cocked, and out now regular people have the tweet in the drafts, and it's just like ready to fly. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, like you said, when the guy from season 3 of Bones dies, we'll get these tweets off, and you and I can have a candlelight vigil, and we're gonna watch season 3 of Bones together while we have, you know, while we enjoy a nice like taco bowl. You know, what sounds better than that?
Motherfucking Bones would have wanted it that way, bitch.
Exactly. That's what Bones would want, and that's what I want to give Bones in return. Well, look, man.
That being said, R.I.P. fam.
R.I.P. to I had to actually. I feel like I'd got a really funny tweet off about the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So maybe I'm part of the problem.
You are not part of the problem. You are part of a problem, but not
Always.
not the, but always a. And also, we need to normalize using humor as a healthy way to deal with death.
I was actually, I just think that I just don't know. I don't know who it's serving. That's all. I don't know who. I don't know. I don't know if it's virtue signaling or if it's self-serving or if it's like wanting to be a part of something. Maybe it's not nefarious at all. Maybe it's like from a pure place. I just think it's corny. That's all I can say about it. Like it's
Look,
everybody's gonna do
what pure
what they're gonna
shit
do.
isn't corny, I'm sure, people at Mosaic Church, their intentions are coming from a pure place. Couldn't be cornier.
Couldn't be cornier.
Cornier
Jason,
than a damn chicas.
I had a big. Wow! Shout out to Chicas, by the way. I had a bag yesterday.
And shout out to a listener who DM'd me a cold DM, letting me know that there is a supermarket somewhere in like East LA. I forgot what city, but he said that they have the 6-pound industrial sized Chicas bag on deck. Just to let you know, Chris.
Well, I think we're going to take a little HLD field trip.
A little, yeah. So when we have our next whenever we have a wake for the next rapper that dies, and we will need 6 pounds of chica. I will release that, and I'll do a full review of the 6 pounder.
Yeah, because that would be fun. Because I did find the chica blue corn at the Whole Foods.
Oh, yeah.
in Burbank. I haven't cracked them yet. I'm saving them like a special bag.
Chica Azul. So you have a bag of chicas sitting in the telly, and you're able to use restraint.
Look, let me tell you right now, Jason, I keep 2 chicas on Deckington at all times.
Damn, you think you would be even fatter than you are, but
bitch,
I guess that's how you're working hard.
I am working hard. Speaking of working hard, I don't know if you saw on my Instagram stories that I secured the fucking bag this week.
Do you mean you went to do Barry's boot camp in a parking lot at a mall?
No, I mean, Certified Lover Boy in stores soon merch is in my possession, baby.
Oh, a great day.
I got the hoodie. I got both colors of the socks. I even got the white hat with a kiss on it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
So you got both of the play for Comme des Garçons socks. That's awesome. Those are some.
Yeah.
That's like an iconic image.
First of all,
me.
Jason, for you to act like Comme des Garçons invented the heart is a little short-sighted, but I'll let you get your little joke off.
I'm not saying they invented the heart, but if you do an A/B comparison of the sock, it's a white or black sock. Almost indistinguishable from each other. There is a red heart in the sock, and then the logo inside of it. It's a Nike swoosh switched out for a cute little set of eyeballs.
Yeah, but a Nike swoosh is the most iconic symbol of American culture, and eyeballs are just eyeballs. So you tell me you tell me.
Just because it's iconic doesn't mean that it's not thievery. But, continue.
Thievery.
So, Drake is not stealing as much as, maybe a Travis Scott or something like that.
But this shit is coming out, bro. This shit ain't coming out for another month.
So
dog.
it's not. Walk me through what those DMs were like once you posted. First of all, the boy gave you permission to post it before. I'm assuming that, or how does the NDA paperwork work?
I mean, I don't think we need to worry about that. I think you'll see some of these other little rappers, doing their posts later, but I think it's more important to get these influencers out ahead of it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So who are some of the other Drake fluencers that were blessed with a Nike sock?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm sure there are guys that are getting bigger packages than me, but I really needed the Certified Lover Boy, Chris Loverboy Black is what I'm calling it now, hoodie.
And are you going to wear any of this merchandise for our upcoming photo shoot?
I mean, I could wear a whole fit. You know what I'm saying? I could wear a whole Drake Certified Lover Boy in store soon fit, but I just
you could wear a lot of things, Chris. I'm asking, will you?
Probably not, but I will. I mean, if you rock up on me at the tennis court with the white socks and the white hat, that's a pretty fire fit. Like that, I'm not mad at that really. And it would look good at the Barry's. I did do Barry's Beverly Center outdoor, and I gotta say, they, as usual, Barry's fucking came through, bro. They got mirrors up, they put a floor down, the silent disco headphones stay on, they don't fall off.
Yeah, speaking of Drake, the only other person who would put a mirror in a parking garage, Barry's is coming through.
Woo!
So I actually wanted to ask you about that. So Barry's boot camp, They took all of their equipment, all of their decor, their statement wall, their statement mirrors, their sound system, etc., moved it into the Beverly Center parking structure, and then just did business as usual there. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I think it's as far as like I've done an outdoor Legree and I've done this, and they're both pretty good, to be honest. It's just like a limited, it's a smaller group of people. But the workout was with my favorite LA trainer, Kyle K, who did a full ballroom. You know the ballroom thing where they fall to the ground?
Oh, I do. Don't tell me that Kyle is appropriating Vogue and culture as well.
Kyle did that shit in the middle of Barry's, and I hit a PR, bro. That got me turned the fuck up. Like that shit. That is impressive as fuck. That motherfucker's got a body on him, and he did that. Like that's gonna get Chris jacked. You know what I mean? That's gonna get me. that's gonna get me putting up a little more weight, Jason.
Wow, this is coming as a surprise to me because of all the 2020 brought us a lot of surprises, but Chris coming alive in the nighttime after he witnesses Kyle K do a ballroom style Vogue collapse and then rebirth. What is that move called? I don't know what it's called.
I actually don't know what it's called, but I'm
just saying I didn't peg you for a ballroom cat. That's all.
I mean, it's one of the most impressive things in the world. I fucking love it. I'm
bro,
really into it.
You wasn't with me with Venus X DJ set at Ghetto Gothic, bro. What's up?
I was not there, but I was at Barry's yesterday for Kyle K to do it. So
yeah, that is Chris's Ghetto Gothic.
Yeah, I'm good. But the overall it was a pretty good experience, to be honest. My ankle's still a little touched up on the treadie, but other than that, it was good.
Speaking of overall, I noticed that you weren't wearing a shirt that covered over all of your arms. A lot of people might call it a tank top, and that is a style of shirt that I've actually I've caught some heat for wearing, actually, from you specifically. And I wanted to ask, where did it go wrong for you? Where did you decide to kind of give in and sacrifice your personal appearance for fitness?
Well, I didn't look, bro. The deal is,
look, bro. The deal is everything good. I'm a District
Vision athlete. Okay, I wear the products as a sponsored athlete. I like to support the brand.
Okay.
Yesterday it was it was a laundry day for some of my other clothing, so I put on I actually run in that fit normally. It's the District Vision Tom half tight.
So you're saying you would
on top.
So you're saying you would only wear District Vision on laundry day? Interesting. I actually like those guys, but
I wear District Vision every day, but I only have a long sleeve shirt, which would have been a little too warm, and then this sleeveless shirt.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So will you keep coming for sleeveless TJ now that you are a member of
because you
No Farmer Hive?
You cut yours like you're like a fucking like you're going to Gold's Gym, but your arms look like twigs. That's the difference. You cut yours all the way down to like the waist. You know what I'm saying?
I don't Travis Barker my shit.
You try. It's like you look like Travis Barker in a DRI shirt. That's what you look like. You think you're Travis Barker.
Some ladies are into that look, all right, Chris. But also, if my arms, my defined arms, are twig like, what does that make yours, Chris? What is that more like a
That's a compliment, dumbass. What do you mean?
It didn't sound like a compliment. All I'm saying is so then it is a compliment to say that your arms are even more twig-like, maybe even, just like a sproutling. Your arms could be sproutling, I guess.
Okay, so we do have a guest today. Jason's making up words now, so we got to keep on. I think he did a little brain damage in Sedona after hanging out with those the mask-free youth.
Today is Farmers Market Day. I got sprouts in the brain. Edmund's cooking up. I'm sorry about that.
I understand. But so at How Long Gone, sometimes we like to reach into our bag of experts because we, some other podcast book guests, we mostly call friends, colleagues, coworkers, people that are well known and defined in their fields. And this last week, if you've been logged on to the internet, which I know you all have because there's nothing else to do, you've probably seen rapper Kanye West going on and on and on about the unfair contracts of the music business. He's up in arms. He's saying he's getting killed. He's saying we have to figure out a new way to do this, etc. And I was talking to my attorney, Mike McCoy, who is a New York-based music attorney, and he worked on Cartel with me, and that's how we know each other. he's not going to disclose who his clients are, but I can say they're very big, and his firm is one of the bigger law firms in the business. So
And will he let me guess one at least?
Probably not. So we're gonna get Mike. So
Love
we're
that.
gonna get Jason. Jason has met Mike before. Actually,
Mm-hmm.
we had dinner with him and his wife at his house before. Jason went and did a legendary DJ set at Holy Mountain, which was a blessed night in general.
It was. Yeah, the only way to start off DJing New York's premier gay club is to drink natural wine on the rooftop of an attorney's home.
That's called High Low. That's our brand. So
And we stand. And also shout out to Mike's wife.
Mike's wife, Caitlin, a big listener of this podcast and a wonderful, brilliant, intelligent woman. But we're going to call. Mike has been sequestered at his home in the Dominican Republic since the pandemic started.
Oh, wait, are you serious?
Yes. So we're going to call Mike. He's coming straight live from the Dominican Republic. He has taken time out of his busy schedule to look into these contracts and also what this means for the future of the music business. 360 deals, with no touring revenue, streaming services. So we're going to give you basically a master class. We're giving you free legal advice at How Long Gone. That's like, you tell me who else is giving you free legal advice, and I'll go fucking subscribe to their shitty podcast.
Yeah, this is Celino and Black coming at you live. And this is all pro bono, my friend. This is normally $300-$400 an hour, easy.
Oh, this is probably more, but yeah, at least. I mean, we're looking at bills, bro. These motherfuckers charge you for, a 10-minute phone call. This ain't a game. Like, you text a lawyer, you're getting a bill.
You're welcome.
So yeah, you're welcome. That's really what it comes down to. So let's go direct to the Dominican Republic, hardwire, and get some legal advice for all of you aspiring musicians. Yeah, you're sequestered in the Dominican Republic right now, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
And you've been there since the beginning. You guys got out quick.
We got out February 24th. The day the market dropped, I was like, this is going to be serious. The market's starting to think about this and price this in. Let's get the hell out of here. So we left that day.
And what's the vibe in the Dominican Republic? Totally different?
Ooh, I think there's something like 110,000 cases. Like maybe 1,000 deaths. We had a quarantine for a while.
There's no more quarantine?
There's not a quarantine, but there is we have to, there's a curfew during the week of 5 p.m.
5 p.m.? The sun's still up.
No, wait, during the week 5 p.m. during the weekend. Sorry, I remember that now. It sucks. But it doesn't matter to me. I live in a gated community. So plus, where am I going to go?
Yeah.
You miss going to restaurants? Whatever. It's fine.
So we're in the gated community, we're in the Dominican, and are you able to come back to America whenever you want, or are you stuck there?
I can come back whenever I want. I've overstayed my tourist visa by 6 months.
Have you come back at all, or have you not left?
No, I haven't left. I see no reason to come back.
So is there a chance that you just move there and live there forever?
Yes.
Wow, really?
Wow. So, Mike,
Well,
let me know,
yeah.
because if the apartment in New York is available, I am also available. So you keep me posted. I'll let you guys keep some stuff there. You know what I mean? Like furniture wise, it's fine, but
Yeah,
we can
that's
work
cool.
out a deal. Yeah, we can
All
work
right.
out a deal.
Good to know. The only issue is Alex is in 9th grade now, and her school is in New York, and I wouldn't want to move her out of her high school
Yeah.
experience, So
Yeah, I mean, is she? So yeah, we've talked to a lot of parents on the podcast. How has it been? I mean, she's a little older, so it's probably a little easier. But is she feeling a little weird with no friends around, not socializing at all?
Yeah, the thing is, there are friends around. She's online to meet her friends, but we're in a bit of a bubble, and there's some people here who don't believe that COVID is a thing. There's a little bit right wing, and they probably
Sure.
look down upon us because we've created our own little bubble, and we haven't let Alex leave
Yeah.
much. But Alex is fine with it. I mean, it's she's learning to surf. She rides her bike. She's very grateful that we have the place, and it's what's the not like?
Sure. Yeah. Even when you're 13, you can recognize this is pretty sick. You know what I mean? It's not.
She gets it. She totally gets it. She's been really cool and chill about everything.
Is she a TikTok user?
She is a TikTok user. She jumped on to do some anti-Trump stuff.
Who didn't?
Yeah, exactly.
Welcome to the club.
Right. we've been brainwashing her from the beginning to be a coastal elite left wing psychopath.
Yeah, Uncle Chris has probably been helping out with that as well.
Absolutely.
I think everybody in your life solidifies that, but I do think that we love to ask also parents. I mean, I think it's interesting for you because you're in the music business, but like, what's she listening to? Like, what is her music taste as they develop?
Oh, that's interesting. I thought before I had a kid that I was going to be the guy that played all the classic songs to my kid. Like, you're going to learn the Beatles, you're going to learn the Stones, you're going to learn all the beginning.
All the Third Eye Blind, all the Counting Crows.
Third Eye Blind, Counting Crows, all the classics.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, we work towards that stuff. That's a little. That's a little advanced.
We have to level up to that. We go from Beatles, Rolling Stones to Counting Crows. It's a process.
Mm-hmm.
That's a jump right there. That's a jump. I don't know if we can handle it, but I didn't want to impose my taste on her at all. So I think her favorite band's the Gorillaz. Right now.
That's a really interesting choice.
I know, it's cool because she likes to draw and she does a lot of anime, so the visual part of it drew her in, and the music's pretty cool. Mm. But I haven't really pushed her on music at all, and she really, unfortunately, moves towards EDM, which
hell yeah!
So that's as Jason's specialty. I'm sure he could offer some.
It's cool that your child ended up being smarter than most people.
Yeah. So if she needs any EDM advice, Uncle Jason is also available to send mixes and other important artifacts.
And also, you know more than anyone as a member of the music industry that EDM artists, you know how many people you split that money with, baby? Motherfucking zero.
Exactly.
That's right.
So, fiscally speaking, she's a smart gal off the jump.
Yes, that's true. That's true. DJ has no production.
No production.
But brilliant.
You and I talked a little bit this week about the this Kanye West situation. So Kanye is tweeting out his contract and talking about how unfair it is, and how long gone. We like to offer expertise. We're basically offering people free legal advice right now. So this is invaluable, really. But I think that for us, Jason and I have been members of the music business at different times in our life. I think a lot of listeners of ours are involved in it, or at least interested in it. So I just thought it'd be fun to get you, an expert, to kind of break down what he's saying in layman's terms and kind of explain to us what it means. Is he right? Is he wrong? Just some an insider look at it. So let's start from the top.
And also, how can we get our masters back from Spotify for this podcast?
Exactly. We'll end with that. But let's start with Kanye West and Universal Music Group.
Well, send me your contract and I'll take a look.
Okay, sure, for sure.
Fuck, I should have signed a contract.
I knew we should have done a contract, Jason. I told you, bro.
This is already invaluable.
Rights. You're good.
Perfect. Yeah. So is Kanye right? Is Kanye wrong? What is your take?
Overall, I mean, his main message, let's just agree, because there was some question. At first, I wasn't sure what his message was. It was unclear to me.
That's a common thing with him.
But if distilling it down, his message is artists should own their masters, then I think he's absolutely right. That's a very artist-friendly way of looking at things. And, I looked through the contracts, and he by no means has had from what I can see, a bad experience, but there's plenty of money. He owns his last 4 records. They're licensed. But the big ones are still owned by Universal from what I can see.
So his last 4 records do suck ass.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. I mean, that's what. But Mike, explain to people what license means. So that means that, just to be clear, that means that he owns the music that he made, then he licenses it for a period of time to a record label to sell and distribute.
That's right. Well, I'll start by saying, there's the value to a record label has traditionally been owning the copyright to a master recording. Like that's where they make their money. And generally speaking, new artists sign deals that are for life of copyright, meaning forever. For the most part. Although, there's a reversion in the U.S. at 35 years, but I don't want to go down that.
Sure. Yeah.
This is a family podcast, Mike. Come on.
No, thanks for getting me back on track, man. Mm-hmm. So I think that, so basically that's the value. So labels want to own these masters and they want to exploit, which is their term, the masters in perpetuity. So an artist owning their masters means that they're going to make more money from the master recordings, right? So what a license means is, Chris Black and Jason, you guys do your acoustic duo album and you finish it and you're like, oh, we're going to go to, Sony and we're going to license it to you. We'll let you put it out and distribute it for 5 years and pay us a royalty, or we'll split the net profits, and then we get a reversion of the rights and we own it. We retain ownership. Yeah, and that's what he's talking about.
So is that going to? I mean, I feel like from what I hear from my friends, that's becoming, the license structure is becoming more popular.
Yes, I'm seeing a lot more of those deals.
And are those increasing? Are those so much more beneficial to the artist? But is the label getting fucked, or is the label just getting less money than they were before?
They're getting less money, but they're probably throwing less resources at something. Because think about it, you're flipping the profit around completely. You're going from, generally speaking, say an artist is making a 20-point royalty, which is high on a royalty side, but then you flip it around and you license it. Maybe you license it for a distribution fee of $20-25. And so So the label's making less money, and as a result, the artist is potentially getting less services from the label.
I see, but
less
also,
risk, less reward.
Yes,
right.
But I would wager to say that is that's a symptom of society, because now the artist has their own marketing. Like, they don't need the label as much as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. But the artist has to be a self-starter, but any artist to be successful has to be a hustler. They have to work hard. That's
at this point. You can't just turn the record and tour and expect it to all work out for you.
No, you got to promote. You got to do the social media thing, and you got to be constantly working.
Even if you're really hot, you still have to do that.
You do have to be hot,
and that fucking sucks.
That does suck. Being hot and forced to work is the most unfair thing we have going on right now.
So Kanye wants to buy his old masters back so he can have ownership of his music forever instead of Universal, and he's saying that they won't talk to him or give him a number because they are afraid that he can actually afford that number, where normally it would be such a crazy amount of amount of money to do that, where nobody would in their right mind would or could pay that much money. What do you think Kanye's masters are going for on the market?
Oh, good Lord. I mean, if you're looking at
I'm not counting Yeezus or anything after Yeezus.
Well,
we're only the good shit. Only the good shit, Mike. Only the good shit.
I mean, I did look at his discography before we got on the phone, and I did see that everything of his sales really dropped from Pablo on.
Yeah.
But I mean, these records that he made 1 through 6 are classic records, and it's hard to really
how do you put a dollar amount on how much money it could make, because the records have already been sold. Millions and millions and millions have already been made off of them, but who knows what could happen?
Yeah, how do you gauge? How do you gauge? Is it just? I mean, obviously, this is based on some kind of numerical figure and calculation, or are they just like, "Fuck you, we want X amount of dollars"? Is it a little bit of both?
Well, if they're coming to the table, let's assume they're talking to him about it, because I don't think they have to. Unless for some reason they really want an 11th Kanye record, then he can sort of hold that as leverage and say, "Give me back the masters for 1 through 6." But I'm not sure that they want that.
Because they absolutely do not have to sell him back his masters. It's like selling somebody a car, and then they're like, "You know what? I want this car back," and you're like, "I don't have to sell you the car back. It's mine.
It's mine now." Yeah.
So he's basically stomping his feet because they're extra. They don't have to respond, and they're choosing not to, and that's upsetting him because he thinks he can afford it.
They don't, but I mean, he does have this platform of 20 million Twitter, followers and that's pretty powerful, I think. So
it's very powerful, but I think that, and what he's saying, and something you and I have discussed too, is kind of like the move towards these kind of contracts becoming a little more palatable for a regular person. Like when we work together, maybe I shouldn't admit this. I didn't look at shit. I was like, Mike does this. I don't know. I can't read this shit. Mike went to college for this. Mike's been doing this for years. Mike reads the contract. He tells me if it's good or bad and what we need to do to get this done. And I think that's how I've always looked at legal stuff. I'm like, there's guys that do. I look at everything like that. There's people who do this professionally. I'm going to lean on them and pay them for their services because I chose to do what I do. So it's like, would that if let's say that the music business in particular makes a move towards this more like kind of like plain language, does that affect your job at all? Does that matter, or is it the same shit?
Oh man, that's funny. I didn't think about that shit. Wow, I'm getting bummed out now. I don't know. I think we still need to make deals. We need to still think about, where the money comes from. And there's still always going to be, even though there's a transparency, everything. I mean, the world is becoming more transparent and all for, it's a net positive, I think. And the music business is moving that way too. But I still think there's going to be people that are going to take advantage of artists. It's always been the case. So that's why I have a job, is I want to make sure that doesn't happen.
I mean, do you find that, I mean, I imagine it's a spectrum, but are some clients like really involved and want to read this stuff and try to understand it? And are others just like me who are like, I don't know, bro, this is your thing?
It's a continuum,
Sure.
Some, I love it when artists really want to know, because then, I get to do my job and explain it. And I think being able to explain these things in plain English is important. But, God forbid someone comes back to me that I didn't explain it to and say, what the hell did I sign? So I prefer, I prefer somebody to be interested.
Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in two things. I'm interested in how much money I'm getting and when I'm getting it. That's the two things that contracts always meant to me. But I do think that this stuff gets really complicated when you're talking about ownership and timelines and all of that stuff, because I think that I think musicians, and this is something we wanted to talk about as well, is I think musicians, that kind of, the money from selling records, at least for most of my contemporaries, was never, you care about in advance, and you care about touring, and you care about merch. Those are the three things that you actually see the most money from. Has that changed, or is that still the same deal? And now that digital streaming services are involved?
I mean, I have artists that make royalties, amazing. You know what I mean? And streaming has, it seems like it's kind of gotten the music business back to at least a place where it's just not.
Yeah, that's the other thing with streaming particularly. I feel like it got such a bad rap for so long, but I kind of think it saved the music business in a lot of ways. Like it kind of propped it up while touring became a bigger and bigger and bigger entity. But I know unsigned artists making $50,000 a month from streaming, and I feel like that's a real living. That's a serious living. You know what I mean? And these are guys people haven't heard of. You know what I mean? So it's like, what is the perfect solution? Like, do you just have to do it all, basically? You know what I mean?
Well, let me go back. So what is it? So I guess the question is it still important to tour, promote, etc.? Yeah. I mean, obviously, the problem is an artist gets somewhere and starts making money. They want to continue, so they always want to be relevant, and they always want to be making music and having, building more fans and followers. But I mean, that's why the music business is changing. Really, I think is because these guys were making $50,000 a month on streaming, so they have leverage. So a label comes in, is like, it's like in the old days, Chris, when you remember when they were chasing unsigned artists that were at radio. It's the same thing, but Spotify. If you're doing that well, they want a piece of it. And the band's like, okay, you want a piece of it? Give me a distribution deal at an 80-20 split in my favor, and we're okay. And then labels are doing it. But the artist had to get himself there. The artist had to make the music that people liked. The artist had to hustle. And I mean, if you're making $50,000 a month on Spotify, what's your incentive to tour? Really,
that's my whole thing. That's what's changing it so much. It's like, obviously touring and merch is a huge income stream at a certain point, but at another point, it's kind of like you're breaking even. So it's like, if I'm breaking even, and it's obviously touring is a fucking nightmare, so I'm breaking even, and I'm making all this money on streaming, what's the point? You know what I mean? But unless you understand the importance of a touring business and building that up for the future, But I don't know why, but it also, to me, it's like, well, then what our label, why would so if Jason and I are making $50,000 a month in streaming for our acoustic album, why would we sign to a record label except for the fact that we're Gen Xers who want to say we're on a major label? What is the benefit for us?
Well, I do think they still have the ability to break something in radio. Their promo departments are very important. Like, you're unlikely to get on the radio. It's not impossible with your acoustic album if you're just streaming on Spotify. And that's still an important way to drive sales, See,
and that's something I think that our fucking Gen X, Gen Z listeners need to know, is that radio, regular ass terrestrial radio, is still moving a lot of records.
Yes, it is. And it actually does prompt some streaming numbers. It pushes streaming numbers higher.
So it's still that game still matters, which I think most people would not realize. Honestly, I think most people think that's like obsolete.
I think in certain genres it matters. Yes, if you want to be a pop star, you got to be going to radio.
Does country work the same way?
Dude, I know nothing about the country music business.
Wow, that's fucked up. That's fucked up, Mike. As a Southern, I believe your firm has a Nashville office. You're from the South. I mean, this is a blind spot.
No, I'm embarrassed to say, or actually, I'm proud of it, to be honest with you.
I actually, you know what? Actually, I don't care at all. I don't give a fuck. But I mean, I think that kind of stuff. But I mean, so radio is still a conversation that you're having all the time.
It's not sort of my world, but it's an important part when you're signing to a label. It's an important service that's needed. Even if you're doing one of those distribution deals, probably the reason to get into it is because you want that radio service,
the promo. And that's something you can pay for independently, but it doesn't really hit the same.
Yeah, it's weird because how do you measure that? Say you pay some guy, and look, radio promo is not my thing, but it's just like, how do you get value? And you're like, okay, you pay some guy. He says, I called all these radio stations. You give him like, I don't know, $50,000. He's like, I called everyone. They didn't like it.
I mean, it's similar. It's similar.
Sounds like PR.
Yeah, it does. That's what I was going to say. It's like, look, there's no guarantees with that stuff like that. It's very similar to press and communications. It's like, we have these relationships and I know these people and but they're still going to, defer to their own tastes. You know what I mean? Like, that's just what the business is about. But I mean, I think that then when a label comes in, they're swinging a little more weight around because of years and years and years of doing business together and relationships and who knows what else,
Right. I think that's exactly the case. So there's still value to signing to a major. But I've actually seen the deals change. Like, back to Kanye's deal, his original deal was 7 records. I'm seeing major label deals down to, commonly 3 or 4 records.
Because they used to want to tie you up for as long as they could.
Absolutely. It was always 6 or 7 records.
Can you let's think about that. I can't think of anybody who's put out 6 or 7 good records.
No, not even the Stones.
Not even the Stones.
Yeah.
Like it's actually crazy to think about. Like, what is the point of that beyond just like wanting to own something because you feel like you feel like it's worth it at the time? That just
even if the music sucks, it still makes money. The same way a contract for a baseball player or a football player, they want to sign you for 12 years. And that you're going to have 2 good years. One of those is going to be injured. You're going to suck for 7 of those years. Sure. It doesn't matter because you're just making money, and winning and success and being good at something has been replaced by, making money as the value of success now.
Well, in both situations you mentioned, even the sports analogy and records, both of those, I know that labels can, and I'm pretty sure sports teams can. They can drop the player or the artist at any time.
Mm-hmm.
It's always in their favor.
Absolutely, always.
Yeah.
But they've got the money. You know what I mean? It's like, I've had artists come to me and say, "I'll sign anything, just for."
I'm so hungry and I'm so sick of sleeping in my car. I will sign anything. I mean, that's where that's the predatory 360 deals where they get people locked in.
It's horrible. I mean, that's when I have to send a letter saying I advise you not to sign this, or I don't take the client on. I'm not, I just because it's going to end in tears inevitably.
We talked about Mike and I when we worked together on Cartel. we did a very early 360 deal because this is like 2005, 2006. And I think that the labels were in such a rush to get those done because it seemed like a good idea that Mike was able to beat it up pretty well for us. And it was kind of like, I mean, Mike, tell me if I'm wrong, but it kind of seemed like some free money at the time.
Well, that's right. Because it was all new. No one had really thought it through. And then in order to get the rights, the labels at the time, or the label that Cartel was on, was paying advances against 360 money, against a percentage of touring, percentage of endorsements, etc. But they let us base the percentage on net, undefined net. So essentially, they would never see any money. So yeah, exactly, free money.
It was just like I remember you and I talked. They're like, all right, so once they start, the numbers were just like, okay, so once they start selling out 10,000 cap venue, it was some this shit. I'm like, guys, this ain't ever gonna happen. Like, this just ain't gonna happen. Yeah. So that means we're never gonna have to pay this money back. That's how I understood it. But I think those deals now, I mean, the merch thing is the merch conversation something that's really prevalent now for you, and maybe it wasn't 10 years ago.
Well, yeah, they really do want a share of merch, and the problem with that is, as you know, that's how a lot of artists, with touring artists, survive. Because touring's so expensive, they're going to survive on selling merch. So the idea there would be to exclude the first X amount of money in merch sales until there's a merch deal or something. But still, it seems like the margins are so low there that it does kind of cut it into bone when you got to pay 7.5%, 5% of the gross to a third party. But
I just think the explosion of the merch thing and like the artists, I mean, the Bravado deals, you know what I mean? All of that stuff that's happening and like the licensing of the name and image and everything I see in my world too. It's like, I don't think it's ever been this big. I just don't like, Noah, the brand Noah is doing, these collaborations with the B-52s and the Cure and like all of these bands. And that's all via, Bravado.
That's amazing. Do you think Band in the Bubble would fly these days?
Oh, Mike, it's a great question. I don't think Band in the Bubble flew. I don't think Band Bubble flew in its own day. So I don't know if it would fly these days either. But I think
that's what I mean. That's what I mean. That if we've progressed and now there's not as much of a stigma tied to endorsements and promotion, do you think that one would actually still go? Would go actually at all?
I honestly, maybe. I mean,
nobody's touching Dr. Pepper still, so I don't know.
We gotta go for like a more like organic, higher end soda, but that could work. I think that because the anniversary, like the 10th anniversary of the Bubble or something, was a couple years ago, and somebody wrote the story about it, and like a positive story about it, kind of. And looking back on that was completely insane as far as the mechanical, like the amount of people involved in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, like, I think from a like social media standpoint and what it very much was ahead of its time. As far as like the constant streaming and that whole thing is very much in tune with what's going on today.
Okay. I mean, yeah, I think they would do it today, and maybe they would fix some of the things that didn't work, and it might fly with the right.
Yeah, if you take Kentucky Fried Chicken out of the equation, it could work.
Forgot about that. Damn.
That's where I draw the line is fast food. But maybe I don't. I mean, have you been following the Travis Scott McDonald's merch thing?
I've seen headlines here and there. How are people? What's the general overall sort of feeling?
Absolutely insane, printing money. And Jason,
wow.
We tried to eat one a couple of weeks ago when it first came out, and McDonald's said like we sold out of patties because of it.
Jesus.
So that's
God bless him. Good for him.
That's
good for him. Bad for all of the world, though.
I know.
Yes. And that's not even
cardboard burgers.
That's not the T-shirts. That's literally a hamburger and French fries and a Sprite. So it's like. Yeah. But I've been told that it is selling so well that they fucked up McDonald's like supply chain. Mm-hmm. Like that. It's just. Wow. But that to me is the ultimate. Like, yeah, there's no such thing as selling out anymore. That is absolutely, like, the biggest rapper in the world is doing a fast food deal and everybody loves it. That means selling out. Like, you and I both remember that.
No stigma.
All three of us are that age where that was like a big deal. And now that is not a term that I ever hear.
No, it's true. When I first was coming up in the 90s and I had my own label and I was managing bands, like, just even the bands that were sponsored by Budweiser they were shunned. I mean, it was just corny. You know, any endorsement connection was considered really corny and selling out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's the only way to make money now. So you kind of don't have
Well,
much of a
before
choice.
the only way to make money as an artist was live shows, and Travis Scott did a good job at that. He was, playing live is the only thing that he's good at, and that revenue stream was taken away instantly.
Yeah.
So, enter in a collaboration with, a corporate fast food chain.
What do you think? So, what do you think, Mike? What do you think the future of touring looks like right now? Do we have what is the rumored proposed date, or people really think that fans are going to pay for streaming?
Chris, you didn't see the iHeartRadio festival this weekend? It was really cool watching Migos rap Birkin bag to nobody.
Oh, no.
It was.
Oh no. I didn't see that.
It was tough. But have you watched anything yourself, or does it not interest you really?
I've watched some clients that have done some stuff, and it's pretty cool. It's obviously not the answer. And the problem is all your fans can see that. So you got one instead of a tour. You know what I mean? Like, you have a 50 city tour or one online event, and it's not the same.
It's called a virtual experience, Mike, not an event.
Yeah, show
I'm
some
so
respect.
Sorry. Yeah,
show
I'm
some
sorry.
respect.
I thought you were in the
to
fucking
whole
biz,
thing.
man.
I stand corrected. But I mean, look, I don't want to get into politics, but if we get some leadership in this country and we get somebody who can deal with the COVID thing, maybe everyone gets back to work and gets on tour, But
I think there's some truth to that. I mean, I think that musicians are, I'm sure, desperate for it. And I also think that even if it's a little early, you know what I'm saying? Even if it's like, I think people are desperate to see it. The same way people are going to see Tenet in theaters and like driving an hour to whatever county's allowing it. I think people are just desperate for it. So that does work in the favor of the business.
You're right. That's a good sign.
But
a
also,
friend of mine just drove from New York to Ohio to see Dave Chappelle.
Really? Oh, to the backyard thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's cool. I would do that.
What did he say about it?
I haven't gotten the download. It was just last week.
So is Chappelle doing that? Is he doing it that often? Is it like a once a week thing, or like what's the vibe?
I don't know. I think the tickets were like $200, so I'm not sure how many people they let in. But it looks really cool.
And he brings friends and stuff, right? It's not just him.
I'm not sure.
He brings D'Elia, all the guys out. That's awesome. Well, could you speculate this? Like while we're in COVID, we're in quarantine lockdown. Nobody wants to go. Nobody's going to be able to go to a concert for who knows how many months or years before it's back to normal. Is there a point where we grow accustomed to this life of not experiencing a concert, and we start preferring a virtual experience or just no concert at all? Or do you think, is there after 5 years or something like that, will we all be over it, like the same way we're all going to be over going to movies in a movie theater when we can just watch it at home now?
I think the best case scenario is it adds a new revenue stream and people still like to go, have the experience of seeing someone live.
We don't like talking about best case scenarios on this podcast, though. Okay. We like to doom scroll and speculate.
So you're saying that the best case is like, all right, I live in a place where I'm never going to get to see these bands, so now I get to pay for it and experience it in my own way. And if I live in New York, LA, Chicago, Miami, Atlanta, I get to go to tours too. I get to do both.
Yeah, I would say that, but I think tours are still going to go to C&D markets once the pandemic ends. I mean, again, that's being optimistic as well, that it ends. But I think
Mike, Mike, what's a D market to you? Let's just let I would love to know. I would love to know what a D market constitutes. What constitutes a D market? Because I think Jason and I have our own ideas as well. So I'd love for you to throw one out there.
I don't know, Palmerdale, Alabama.
Okay, sure. Anywhere in Alabama, but I mean, I didn't know. I thought markets were A, B, C. I didn't even know there was a D. That's why I'm asking. I didn't know it went that low.
I mean, the smallest venue in North Dakota, maybe.
Yeah, sure. There's always a place out there. Yeah, but I mean, I think that. So if touring comes back, it's going to come back in a way that it'll be obviously distance or whatever, but it's still going to hit the same places.
It would have to. I mean, what's really tough is that the venues. I mean, they're really hurting, and I wish there could be some sort of assistance for them because
agreed. I mean,
it's fucked. It's bad.
What do you? So did a bunch of agents that you work with just get fucking cans?
I mean, not really. Everyone's doing okay. It seems
they were already rich enough to where they can. It's fine either way.
I mean,
the agencies are really trying to keep people. I mean, they're anticipating. They're also seemingly optimistic, and they're anticipating that there's going to be a business in the next year or two.
I mean, I know that I heard some stories about how they handle it in some places. Like it's interesting. Like UTA or someone I think did 20% across the board, like salary cut at the beginning, and didn't have to lay it off. Which is to me is like that's a great way to handle this. You know what I mean? And then and I think that like. That feels really democratic and kind of like makes everyone feel like a team,
Yes. Agreed.
Even if it's obviously it sucks for a junior agent to get a 20% salary cut, but if your boss is getting the same thing, of course you're like, he's making more money than me, blah, blah, blah. But I think that to me is like the best way to handle this stuff,
Right. And the agents literally, I mean, they're not twiddling their thumbs. I think a lot of them are still booking online things or trying to find, situations like that. A lot of them, trying to find endorsements, et cetera. So the agency still has some business. But,
trying to see how they can take 10% out of zero.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, have you been busy? Was it slow for a while and now people are wanting to do deals again, or what's the cadence been for you?
Hadn't changed. I'm pretty busy. I've been doing new artist deals, new artist publishing deals. I mean, new publishing deals. I'm honestly, I don't want to, sorry to.
So you haven't had to dip into medical law or any type of vaccination related paperwork?
Yeah, you didn't have to become an ambulance chaser yet.
Not yet. I mean, it's always on the back burner. And it's always a possibility.
Mm-hmm.
But no.
What's the vibe at the DR office? Like, what's the setup looking like? You got how many monitor? Because so Jason, let me set the stage. Mike's office in New York, he's got the standing desk station and the regular desk station.
Right. And then I have two monitors at the regular desk. Yes.
And you were early on the standing desk, which Jason, I feel like you flirted with that as well.
Yeah, but I'm not a gamer, so I don't have as impressive of a setup as he does.
I understand. I know. Right. Mike, you think he's working on a contract, but he's actually playing World of Warcraft. We know your secret. That's why he wanted to become partner, so he could get an office with a door that closes. That was a big deal for him.
Yeah. Do you think you would ever dip into the world of representing a gamer personality, legally speaking, or helping out, a TikToker or influencer with their legal work?
I've repped some influencers now, some big influencers. There's a lot of work to be done there. Tons of.
I didn't know that.
Of course, you will not divulge those people, correct?
No, I don't. I can't.
Good for you.
I mean, this one also does music, so there's a.
I see.
But I mean, it's in my lane, either way. What I do, but I haven't really made a huge foray into that.
Are those influencer like? What do you like? Are they trying to get those done faster? That stuff seems to move a lot faster than like a record deal would. Am I wrong?
Oh my God.
To say that?
Well, yeah, because they're just one time. You get like $10,000 to post this, $30,000 to post this, or this much time, and there's the exclusivity lasts for a month instead of like years on a normal endorsement. Yeah,
it's almost like they don't even need a lawyer.
My favorite part of influencer deals is that you can usually just delete the post. Like you can delete it off the grid 2 weeks after you post it because it doesn't matter anymore. Like
that's a negotiated point.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. One day is worth it. One day, like if I'm posting some whack shit, but it's $20,000, I could delete it the next week. Like we're all good.
Right, but if they want you to keep it up and they want to retweet it for a year, then you got to think about it a little bit. Or,
you got to get more money. Yeah, you got to get more money. I mean that world. Yeah, it's the same but different. You know what I mean? I think that is the truth of all of it. You're right. It's all like contracts are contracts when it comes to endorsements.
Right, but they aren't locking these kids down for a long time, really. The kids they're it's kind of brilliant. They're just they have a platform, they can contract direct, and this platform that they have makes them money. It's cool, and if they're smart, they do smart deals, they're making a really damn good living.
We know, Jason. I think we know where we need to go now when our deals start coming in.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have you as a resource, Mike. You are going to be the difference that we have in this world from the regular podcast influencers and the shining stars.
Exactly.
Let's get started now.
I always come
Wait, is this conversation on going to be billed? Is that what you mean? Is that what you want to start now?
Are you saying?
I can start as early as today, boys.
I thought this was a percentage deal, right?
We started right now, actually, Chris. So I'll send you a PDF later. It's going to have the wire info in it and everything. All right. Well, Mike, thank you for your insight. It's been very helpful, honestly. And I think this is stuff these are the kind of questions that, people have, I think in some ways. And I do think that, the music business is very interesting to us and our listeners. So getting some real insight from a pro has been very helpful.
I hope it was helpful. I'm glad to do it. And it's always a pleasure talking to you guys.
Don't send us any demos. We will not send them to Mike. No unsolicited demos to How Long Gone. Okay? Please don't send your demo. No mixtapes.
And Mike, stop sending us demos too. It's starting to get a little old. Come on, man.
That's how this relationship is supposed to work.
Being on this podcast is my first step towards my artist career. This is sort of I'm laying the foundation.
I like that. Well, I'm glad that we can both be part of each other's journeys. Moving into new arenas in this post-COVID world. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. We'll do our online shows together.
Exactly, but honestly, thanks for joining us. It was really fun, and I'll look for our invite to the Dominican Republic with our bill. So just you keep us posted.
It's open. Take care, guys.
Thanks, Mike. We'll talk to you soon.
Later.
Bye.
All right, later.